Okay, we are recorded. Go ahead and throw your name on here and your hour. It is currently second hour. Okay, we are making a new type of graph today. This type of graph is either called box plots, or some people call it box and whisker plots. So I put the and whisker in parentheses, so you know that when you hear box and whisker, this is what people are talking about. But if you hear box plots, this is also what people are talking about. So some people include the and whisker, some people don't. The reason why they're called box plots or box and whisker plots is because you draw a literal box, and then there's these two little tails out the side that kind of look like whiskers. So, box plots graph and show us the 5-number summary for a set of data. So box plots don't show us every single data point like a histogram or a dot plot do. They just show us 5 points about your data set as a whole. The 5 points that they show are these 5 points here. So minimum, lower quartile, median, upper quartile, maximum. Let's talk about those. Minimum and maximum, we know what those mean. Minimum is going to be your lowest number, and your maximum is going to be your highest number. Then, we in 7.1 have already done medians. How do we find the median of data? I think you're thinking of mean. So, where on a road is the median? It's the middle. So the median is your middle. Yes. And then the two new things of today are your lower quartile and your upper quartile. So your lower quartile can also be called Q1 or quartile 1. That is the median of the lower half of your data. So you take your data, you chop it in half, and then you chop each of your halves in half. Those are going to be quarters or quartiles. If that's the median of your lower half, what's your upper quartile going to be? Yeah, median of the upper half. Okay. Any questions at the moment? Okay, there are two types of range that we are going to be looking at today. Our normal range that we have already done is the maximum minus the minimum. And then our interquartile range is the range between our two quartiles. So that is going to be your upper quartile. I'm going to call that upper Q, because I don't have space to write that. Minus your lower quartile. Okay. Any questions at the moment? Okay. This last blank before we get started with our actual examples. Think about your data. From minimum to maximum, that is 100% of your data. We chop it in half. What percent of your data is in each half? 50. Okay. We chop each of those halves in half. So we've got half of a half, which is a quarter. What percent of your data is in each quarter? 25%. So 25% of your data falls in each of the 4 chunks of a box plot. Okay. The first problem we have, the speed of pitches in a baseball game in miles per hour. The first thing that you have to do on these is list your points in order. Everything hinges on you getting your points listed in order and not losing any of them. So you're going to want to like triple check your list. So the lowest I see is 78. And then I see an 80 and an 83. I see an 85 and an 87. And then I see a 91 and a 93. And then a 95 and a 97. Okay. Then I would double count and make sure you cross all them off and make sure you have enough numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Any questions at the moment? Hey, I always start with minimum and maximum. They're easy. What is my minimum? 78. What is my maximum? 97. Okay. Pay attention. We know how to find a median, but pay attention with what I do with my median because that's going to affect how I do my quartiles. So for my median, I do that the same way. I go do, 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 do. What is my median on this one? 87. Okay. Put a box around 87. If your median is its own number, and you don't have to do like between 2 medians, put a box around it. Because is 87 in the lower half of my data? Yeah. Is 87 in the upper half of my data? No. Where is 87? It is right in the middle. So we are not going to consider 87 to be in the upper half or the lower half because it is right in the middle. So we are not going to fight over it. We are just going to leave it by itself in the middle. So if 87, or if your median is its own number in the middle, exclude it from finding the median, or the quartile, sorry. Any questions about that? Okay, so now to do my quartiles, for my lower quartile, I am only looking at these 4 numbers. Okay? 78, yes, we already used it as a minimum, but it's definitely in the lower half of my data. So I'm going to look at these 4 numbers. Where would my median of these 4 numbers be? Right in between 80 and 83. I'm going to put a little line there. When I have a median between 2 numbers, I add them together and I divide by 2. So 80 plus 83 divided by 2. And I get 81.5. You can also think, how far apart are 80 and 83? How far apart are 80 and 83? 3. What is half of 3? 1.5, 1.5. So then I add 1.5 to that 80 to get halfway in between. It's 81.5. Okay, any questions about finding that quartile? Hey, now we're going to go do our upper quartile. So I am not going to include 87. I'm only looking at these 4 numbers. So I go boop, boop, boop. In between 93 and 95. What's halfway in between 93 and 95? 94. Okay, if you needed to, you could add those together. 93 plus 95 divided by 2. 93 plus 95 divided by 2, I get 94. Okay. Any questions on finding either of my quartiles? Okay. So once you find that, that's your 5-number summary. That's what you are going to create your graph out of. So please pay attention to how we create the graph now. We are going to create a whisker from your minimum to your quartile, and then your box goes from your quartile to your median to your upper quartile, and then another whisker from your quartile to your maximum. So when we start, if we go from left to right, we put a dot above 78. Just put a dot above 78. Then you are going to put a line, a vertical line at 81.5. So you got to go look between 81 and 82 and just go halfway in between. Then my median is at 87. So I put a line at 87. My upper quartile, or quartile 3, is at 94. So I put a line at 94. And then my maximum's at 97, so I put another dot at 97. Okay. Any questions as to what I've done so far? Okay, then we connect these 3 lines into our box. So I'm going to draw a line across the top and a line across the bottom to make that my box. And then you create your whiskers from the dot to the middle of the side of the box. Middle of the side of the box to the dot. Okay. Any questions on this one? Okay. This graph happens to go, the number line that we provided happens to go from the minimum to the maximum. That will not always happen. That's just, this set of data was so spread out that we had to use the entire distance. That will not always happen though. All right, flip this over. We've got one more on the back. How the median works on the one on the back is going to be a little bit different. So that's why we have another example. All right. This one is the time it takes to travel to work in minutes. Again, we're going to create a box plot. So we're going to list out all of our data. The lowest number I see is 8. And then I've got a 10 and a 12. A 14 and a 15. A 17 and a 19. A 20. A 22. And a 28. Okay, then I'm going to double count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I didn't cross that one off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, any questions at the moment? Okay, my minimum, what's my minimum?
8.
Okay, what's my maximum?
28.
28. Okay, so those two are easy. Then I'm going to find my median. So for my median on this one, I have an even number of numbers. So when I go to find my median, boop, boop, boop. Where does my median end up? In between 15 and 17. So draw a vertical line there. Do not put a box around anything. So draw a vertical line between 15 and 17. What's halfway between 15 and 17? 16. Okay, if you needed to, you could add them together and divide by 2. When you add them together and divide by 2, make sure you're adding them together, hitting enter, and then dividing by 2. Because if I just do 15 plus 17 divided by 2, that only divides the 17 by 2. And 23.5 is not between 15 and 17, okay? So if you get something that doesn't make sense, pause and like turn your brain on. Any questions at the moment? Okay. Is 15 in the lower half of my data? Yes. Is 17 in the upper half of my data? Yes. So on this one, since there's an even number of numbers and we were able to split right in half, we are going to use all of this as my lower half. So since I've got 5 numbers there, I just go my lower quartile is this 12. Okay, and then same thing for my upper half. I have 5 numbers, so I'm going to have an even median. My upper quartile is this 20. Any questions at the moment? Okay, let's go ahead and graph it then. So we do a dot at our minimum at 8. We do lines at our quartile 1, median, quartile 3, which are at 12, 16, and 20. 12, 16, and 20. Then we do a dot at our 28. And then we can start connecting things. So we'll make a box from our lower quartile to our upper quartile. Then we will make one whisker and the other. Alright, so if you guys notice that this whisker is really long, it's because this 25% of data from 20 to 28 is really far spread out. So there's someone who lives way further away from work, so that's why that fourth of the data is spread out. Whereas these quarters, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, are more closely compacted. All right, I'm going to stop this video.